Technology is in your home. It's in your living room. Matter of fact, we could say this, it's all throughout the air. Wi-Fi has changed the way computers, smartphones, tablets, gaming consoles, everything we have, even your thermostat, it's changed how they work. I'm Jonathan Burns, and thank you for joining me on Danger Zone, Parenting in the Digital Age. Today we're talking about conversations for families. And what we're trying to figure out is how we can have the conversations we need to have so that technology does not destroy our children. I want to give you a number of areas that we're going to study together today to help us stay on task. This one first, this one second. Social media rules, 10 conversations for families, and then finally, youth and technology. Let's start with this one first. Across America in 2022, data indicates that there are approximately 18.3 million children who live without a father in the home, comprising about 1 in 4 U.S. children. There's a reason I called this one first. There is, all throughout our country and all throughout the world, a decline in what's called the nuclear or nucleus family. The father, the mother, and the children. Now certainly, we're not saying there is a decline to create ill feelings or to create negative experiences on where you might be in life. But we do see in the family as a whole, the family unit has been torn apart. And the data indicates to us that homes are losing their father and mother constructs. As we walk through the information, we learn that about 80% of single-parent homes are led by single mothers. Now, this is also not being said to put down women or put down mothers who are doing the best that they can. I can think of one individual right now who raised her son by herself. That young man went on to go to one of our top colleges in the United States, and he is a fine, upstanding young man. However, we also understand, as we think about the family unit, the family is best when it is together. There's the idea. Matter of fact, one study said this about children. Children from single-parent families are twice as likely to suffer from mental health and behavioral problems as those living with married parents. What's the point? We're trying to find how we can better our families, how we can better our children. One study said this, 70% of youth in state-operated facilities were from single-parent homes. What we're learning once again is the family that's not together, the family that has been torn apart, struggles. It's a struggle for the father, it's a struggle for the mother, and it is a struggle for the children. That's the emphasis of these lessons. We're learning that families matter. Children with an actively engaged father perform much better in school. Some data shows that they are 33% less likely to repeat a class and 43% more likely to get A's in school. In school. What are we building? We're once again building that families that are together have a greater chance of success. On a sad note, one report said this. In a study of 56 school shootings, only 10 of the shooters, 18%, were raised in a stable home with both biological parents. 82% grew up in either an unstable family environment or grew up without both biological parents together. What are we learning? We're learning that a family that is torn apart is filled with struggles and sorrows. Now, I want to give you some information that has to do with the Bible. I, of course, in my primary occupation, am a minister. So in many of the things that I teach, I try to bring the Bible into them. I want to share with you another study. Another study says that if you have a non-religious mother and a normal father or a church-going father, at least 2/3 of your children will go to church. In contrast, 2/3 of the children of non-participating fathers with normal mothers, church-going mothers, do not attend church. The idea is when the family is torn apart, there are all sorts of problems that come. One of the things that we need to work on is building our family units. Fathers need to be fathers, mothers need to be mothers, and children, they need to respect their parents. I want to give you a list of Bible passages that you can study on your own time. Ephesians 6:4, Colossians 3:21, Proverbs 22:6, 3 John 1:4, Psalm 103:13, Exodus 20:12, Isaiah 54:13, Proverbs 23:24, Proverbs 23:22, Proverbs 13:24, Joshua 1:9, Hebrews 12:7, Proverbs 1:8 and 9, and Deuteronomy 6:6-9. If you will study these passages, open them up as a family together, you will find ways to be one much deeper. And what you will find if you will take a Bible mindset of life is you can make your family great. Let's look in the second place together this 1 second. The first is the family needs to stay together. The second is this: consistency. Consistency is key. When we're talking about parents, parents must be on the same page. We have a mother, we have a father. If the father says this and the mother then says this, we have a problem. What we will have is we will have a conflict, a proverbial butting of the heads in front of the children. And then what we will have is a disregard for one or both of the parents. Parents need to be one, no matter what it is. It could be the matters of technology. It could be the matters of school. It could be the matters of sports and athletics. It could be any area of life. Parents must be on the same page. Now, for just a moment, let me meddle. Grandparents must be on the same page. I know, grandparents, the greatest joy you get is sugaring up those children and sending them home. Now that's funny and that's cute. I hear you, I'm with you, I'm on your page. But when it comes to technology, when it comes to something that can create deep psychological problems, not just a cavity, we must be on the same page. When we start talking about consistency, what we're really talking about is communication. Communication is key in marriage, it's key in parenting, but it's also key when there are multiple people in these children's lives. Speaking of multiple people, there is also the concept of fellow parents. Fellow parents must be on the same page. In other words, if your children go over to someone else's house and they have no restraint on what comes into the life of that child, it's going to come into the life of yours. The same thing is true for you. If you have no restraint on that which comes into your child's life, those who come home with you will experience the same thing. We're talking about consistency. You see, the home needs to be strengthened, but consistency needs to be the goal. This is going to require, as I've already mentioned, communication. Here would be a great time for husbands and wives, fathers and mothers, to sit down and have an open conversation. Here is what I think needs to happen. Here is something I don't like. How can we work on this together, and then work with your families, with your fellow parents, in order to build the environment that is successful for your child? There is never an occasion where the parents are second place, and thus consistency becomes the key of this 1 second. So first, hold the family together. Second, bring the family together with consistency. And here's number 3. Let's deal with social media. I want to give you a number of social media rules. Now, this particular segment probably will affect teenagers the most. Many young children, my children are still young, at 9 and 6, they're not on social media. We don't let them have a Facebook account. They don't have an Instagram account. They don't get on TikTok. They don't get on X, formerly Twitter. They don't have any of these accounts. We believe as parents, they are not ready yet. Here's the truth. We will never get rid of technology. That pressure will always be there. That outlet will always be there. It's not going to go away. So thus, we must be parents and build some rules. Here's rule number 1. Do not use social media as your main method of human contact. Do you remember just a few years ago when a pesky little thing called COVID-19 entered the world? We all went home. Schools went home. I'll remember this time for a number of reasons. Number 1, because where I worked at that time, we always had people coming in and out of the office. It stopped. It stopped. And that contact that I had socially with people, it changed. Now, certainly during that time, we found all sorts of things that could be done better. And I know there is good in problematic times, but things changed. It changed for all adults in their work lives. Things changed. We found that many times our churches went to online presence for a certain period of time, and we understood the difference of meeting together and looking through the lens of a camera and looking at the screen and seeing the lack of human contact. Maybe our hospitals and nursing homes were hit the hardest. Loved ones were not able to be in physical contact with their families. I know those were hard times, but it taught us a lesson. Our physical contact, our human contact, it means something. Rule number 1, do not use social media as your main method of human contact. What these social media rules are they are simple ways that families can have discussions together. Here's rule number 2. Know who you are and do not focus on what gets the most likes. We live in a time where we expect thumbs up. We expect the heart. If we've written something funny, we expect somebody to give the laughy face. We want people to share and we want people to comment. And sometimes our identity becomes tied to how we perform digitally. You see, what I'm trying to say is we need to know who we are as people. We need to know what we're going to do in our lives, not what others want for us in our lives. We need to know what makes us happy and not what makes others happy. We need to know what is true and right, not based on what the world says, but based on a value system that's deeper than the mind of the world. We can truly know who we are and build our lives without the need of the approval of others. Rule number 3 is this: think before you speak, think before you post. I am so glad, and I think you will agree with me on this. Matter of fact, it might even make you laugh. It might even make you cringe a little bit. I am so glad that when I was in high school, social media did not exist. When I was a college student at Tennessee Tech in Cookeville, Tennessee, you had to have a .edu email address to join Facebook. That's how it started. It was for students and for colleges. It's blossomed into something greater than that now. But boy, I'm glad that during the primary years of my life, when our brains weren't the smartest, that I didn't have social media in my life. However, that's not the way it is now. There's no turning back the clock. There's no ripping the pages back in the calendar. There's no way to put those worms back into the can. It's here. And just as much as the words that we speak, we need to spend some time thinking about them. The words that we type, the pictures that we share, the videos that we like, we need to think before we post. That's number 3. Here's number 4. Know your friends. Know who you like and follow. Know the dangers of influence. It used to be that the influences that were in our lives were directly in contact with us. We knew them. Maybe we looked up to them. But it was not something that was just purely digital. It was something that was personal. Influence now has become digital. I've talked with a number of young people, and every now and then I'll meet somebody who wants to become a social media influencer. Or I meet someone who wants to see this person and would like to talk with them. But then when they do some research and they do some studies, they find that these influencers, they live in a fake world. Know your friends. Have some contact with some people. Know who you like and follow, because here is a rule that's true for life. What we put in is going to come out in our actions. So we need to develop some social media rules in our lives. Here's rule number 5. Openly communicate with your parents. It's possible, I should have put it this way, openly communicate with your children. Sometimes I'm afraid that because of our busy schedules, because of our work lives, because of all the things that we worry about, we brush off. We don't give the time to the conversations of our children. That's dangerous. Maybe rule 5 should read this way: openly communicate with your children. Listen to them. Don't scold them right away. Listen to them. Don't tell them no right away, though you're probably right in telling them no. But have open communication so that you do not create a situation where they will not talk with you. You see, what we've seen so far is this one first, the family's together. This one second, consistency is key. And social media rules. Boy, wasn't that different? Let's think in the 4th place today, 10 conversations for families. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to list these 5 at a time. Here's the first 5. What is love? Where do babies come from? How to be a friend? Life and death? Family values? We need to sit down and have honest conversations. Now, I'll put a little exclamation point at the first one, what is love? Because I don't know, when you read that, what is love, you don't hear the rest of the lyrics to the song. I do, for whatever reason that is. But there are conversations we need to have. What does it look like to love someone? Where does life come from? These are questions including friendship, life and death, and family values we need to have with our children. Because the truth is, these are influences in their lives. Not only these 5, but here's 5 more. Puberty. Now there's a conversation that every parent is just raring and excited to discuss. But it needs to be. Trust and honesty. alcohol, and other drugs, how money works, and because I'm a preacher, heaven. You see, there are so many things we need to do. The point of this is to design for you and for me, for husbands and wives, mothers and fathers, to sit down and just talk to their children. Have a time where questions can be asked. I know with these, some of them are difficult. Matter of fact, I'll be honest with you, all 10 of them are difficult. But they're going to face them in their lives. Recently, something happened in our family that was, for many, just something that happens. But because it had never happened in our family yet, my children were not ready. I've often looked back at that and wondered, should I have talked to them about this before it ever happened? We had a dog that Kelly and I got when we were first married. And that dog has always been around our children's lives. He lived in the home with us. He was there when we brought him home from the hospital, and he's been there every step of the way. But age caught up. And I'll never forget sitting on the couch of my home, telling my sons, here's what's happened. And seeing it in my oldest son's face, because he got it first. He understood first. And I can go ahead and tell you, he was not ready. You see, what we need to do as parents is we need to have conversations that get our children ready for life. Now let's have a conversation for parents. In this, I want to look at youth and technology. And to do that, I want to think about things you can use, specifically parental control. Now I'm going to give you 2 words. They're simple words and you know them. Circle and bark. Circle versus bark. Now, what Circle is originally was a parent company of Disney, the same place that brings you Disney World and Disneyland. And basically, originally it was designed from them, if I'm correct, and they became a group that wanted to foster technology with parents and create apps that could go on smart devices so that parents could monitor and even deter what children were doing. I think Circle, and you can go to Google and you can search, I almost said you could circle, but you can search for Circle, and there you can find out what they provide. You can also look at a company called Bark, just like a dog would do, Bark, B-A-R-K. And there you will find what they can provide. Now what Bark sets to offer is they provide parental controls that build trust. They currently, as of a little while ago, had 6.8 million users, children, 1.5 million different devices and self-harm things that they focused on, 3.3 million problems with bullying that they were dealing with. What this is, and you can try it for free and then you can purchase it. It is a subscription. I do not get any money for telling you about it. It's just something that I wanted you to know about. The same is true with Circle. You can go to their website. You can search out all the things, learn more about them. I'll be honest with you. If I were choosing between the two, I would focus after Bark. Circle is certainly great, but Bark is one that has built its design on how to help children. They even have at-home devices that you can use to better secure all the devices. You can go to Bark's website and there find all the things that they provide. Now, you don't have to purchase everything. Inside of your personal routers that you use at home, there are some features that you need to know about. Now, the building I'm sitting in right now, as this is being recorded, is the Findlay Church of Christ. Now, we're in the fellowship hall. There's not a lot going on over here technology-wise, but still, it does reach into this room. And what we use here is a unified system to control our network. And we can see every aspect of what takes place. We can see the traffic. We can see where it goes. We can see the most active users. We can tell where that traffic is taking place inside the building. And interestingly enough, we can see all sorts of different pieces of data that people are using on the internet in this building. We can even reach out to individual devices. Here was someone's iPad. Here was someone's iPod, and we could see the places that they were going and their internet traffic was being used. Now most, not all, but most home routers and most home internet providers can provide you with different tools that you can use. You may be thinking, but my kids aren't always at home. Well, when you get your children, when you get your teenagers, let me be very specific, I don't think kids need cell phones. I don't think middle school children need cell phones. I don't think children that aren't driving need cell phones. I know I'll make an exception about those who drive. But when you get them that phone, whatever becomes in your family, both Verizon and AT&T has a variety of features that you can use. AT&T has a service called Cyber Aware, and I'm sure over the years this name will change, but they have ways that you can register that device as your child and you can know what your child is doing. Verizon has a service called Verizon Smart Family. Of course, its name will change over the years, and the same is true. You can block things, you can change things, you can be in control. You see, what we need to do is we need to take the control back from our young people and into the hands of the parent. What this tells me is knowledge is key. You need to be, and this is hard, I know, you need to be the smartest technology wizard in your house. You need to know how it works. You need to know how to fix it. And boy, those are complicated, aren't they? But you need to know. You see, we went through 5 things. The family that has to be together, the consistency that has to be in our families, social media because it's not going anywhere, some conversations we need to have, and then a few little areas that you can use to protect your family. I encourage you, as we have looked at conversations for families, I encourage you, open some communication. Talk about social media. Talk about the things they watch, not just the things they watch on YouTube. And by the way, parents, for younger children, YouTube Kids has certain parameters of which you need to check out to see how you can better serve that program for your children. But we need to open up communication about the things they watch, about the things they read, about the places they go digitally, and have conversations in our families, because the truth is, we're in a danger zone. We're parenting in the digital age.